I have shifted so many times in life and business. And some people will say, well, that's just because you can't be consistent or you can't figure it out. And I was like, in all of my journeys, I don't regret any of them. I love every single journey I've had. And yes, success has become more now. I am more successful as a business owner, but that doesn't mean I regret any of the decisions I made. And I'm glad that I followed my heart and I tried them.
I am so happy today because I have Kamille back, and it's been 2 years since we've chatted, which is crazy. But I want to know, what have you been up to the last 2 years?
I can't believe it's been 2 years. When you reached out to me, I was like, really? 2 years? Oh my gosh, it flies, it flies. But yeah, still living the entrepreneurial life. I have done a little shift in business. Originally, my business was very service-based. It was coaching, it was a lot of online products and mentoring. And although I love all of that, and I still do a lot of that on the side, kind of like I have a bunch of interns that work for me that I love mentoring and working with. Actually, now I've shifted to actually having a full consulting business. So I am still an LLC, but I am a consulting business. I have, a lot of different people underneath me that work to help me find the loopholes and the issues in digital marketing in larger companies, corporations. I work with mainly corporate businesses now, which is kind of a big shift from what I was working with before. I was working with a lot of smaller businesses, and I do still do a lot of that. But I am kind of that little person that comes in and says, this is what you're missing, this is what's happening in your business. And I bring in the team to help make sure that they're doing what they need to do. So we've done a big shift into a full consulting business, but still working with the small people. Love my little entrepreneurs and my people that are coming up in business. And I'm still working with some small lash techs and people around my area as well. But yeah, we've done a big shift. We're full consulting now. So it's been a big one.
Yes, definitely a huge shift. And I'm just curious because what provoked that shift for you? Like when you were like, because you've been coaching, you've been mentoring for years prior, and then now to switch into the consulting and having a team.
I actually have to say a lot of it was personal, although again, I love online. I love being, a presence in the industry. It becomes hard on a person sometimes, always having to put yourself out there, get validated by people buying your products, putting out those offers, constantly in a sales funnel of life. And for me, it got really exhausting. I became really, really tired of kind of just pushing myself out there all the time. Like I love, we were just talking about how much I love podcasts and I loved my podcast and I loved doing it. But I started to feel like all I was trying to do was push sales through it and like make something happen. And it became really, really hard on me personally. I loved everyone around me, but I wasn't loving the sales side of it. And when I just kind of started honing in on specific areas of companies that I really wanted to work with, kind of pitched myself and simplified the process, I found that it was much easier. And then I also found, not easier, I don't want to say it's easy. It's not easy to just get clients, especially in the corporate world, but it was something where I felt that I could put my energy into certain places versus everywhere. And so now, I've been talking about bringing my podcast stuff back because I do miss it and it is something I love but it's something I can bring back because I enjoy it versus having to push myself all the time online. And social media in general just gets overwhelming. I was constantly online every single day doing everything I could. And although it was great, I needed that shift. I needed that shift personally. And as I did that, I felt my energies were going into the right places and I was still able to do the things that I loved, but just in a different outlet. So it worked out better for me personally.
I love that. And I love your transparency and vulnerability of just what you were going through, because a lot of times I feel that because we have to be on social media, that's like the have to versus wanting to. Like I love social media, but it can be exhausting. Like if you're constantly putting something out there, content, like, I mean, I don't make money from just doing like videos and stuff like this, but I love it. And I think that's the difference when we start to shift our energy and our focal point of, okay, my pieces are everywhere. Let's bring it together. And that's exactly what you did. And it sounds like you did, where you were kind of everywhere, helping so many people in so many capacities, but you kind of got to be able to streamline it and focus on one area and then have people working for you. And I'm curious because we talked about this last time of like hiring a team and growing a team.
You want an extension of you, of course, in some way. If you keep holding on to the idea that they have to be exactly like you or think of the company exactly like you're probably going to have a really hard time delegating and being able to take that step. I know that was the hard part for me was, people would come in and I just didn't feel like they had the passion that I had or the thought processes behind my business that I had. And I thought that was a bad thing. And I started to realize I wanted people that understood it in a different way and could bring a different perspective to my business. Again, I have lots of ideas. I am someone that really wants to put those ideas to paper, and sometimes I can't. So I need someone that can sit back and do that. So I think we get stuck in this idea that we want someone that's not that we don't want them to care about our business, of course,
yeah,
we want that, but you also want people that are going to do it in a way that can expand and show different perspectives of your business. I think that was really huge for me. And I got a lot more ideas from people, and seeing their perspective and their ideas was oh, wow, I didn't think of it in that way. And I like that. And sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need that. And then sometimes you need that one person that's just they're going with you. And then you have these other people that kind of support it in a different way.
What was the difference with coaching and mentorship versus consulting now in the digital marketing space? What was that shift?
The reward of helping and mentoring someone. And again, like I said, I still have these young interns that I work with that, I help mentor, and I just kind of do that personally. I sit with them for an hour a week and just kind of teach them things. And that's something that is super rewarding. But the consulting and the marketing side, there's a lot of strategy behind it. So there's a lot of results, and those results come no matter what, whether the results are good or bad, you're going to have a sort of accomplishment with that. There's an end result to it. The mentoring and the coaching is beautiful, but a lot of times it leads, you're sending them off on their own way, or they're kind of doing their own thing, or you're a piece of the puzzle, not the whole puzzle. So it's fun and I love it. And again, I will continue to do it. One of my goals in life is to speak on stages still. I've always wanted to just get up on stage and talk to thousands of entrepreneurs and help them out. That is something that I love and I'm passionate about. And I'm still just a piece of the puzzle, where when it comes to what I'm doing now, there's a lot of strategy behind it. And it really is taking it from the smallest piece, whether it's one social post or one ad or one thing that you're putting out there on your website, and leading it down through a funnel of getting to a final result, that lead, that, whatever that is for that client. There's a lot that comes with it, and you're part of the entire puzzle. So it's different. It's a lot. It's not easy. It's harder, but you actually get that result. And sometimes that's just a little bit of an easier thing for me, is that I don't know where these people end up. I'm a big piece of it, and I know I've done something good, but I'm not sure where they're going to end up because I'm not a salesperson for them. You know what I mean? So it's hard to explain that, I guess. I mean, the mentoring is so amazing. It's so hard to pull away from it. But in the end, I'm getting companies exactly what they're looking for. So it's a little bit easier to deal with. And it's just where I'm at in my life. And that's where it feels good.
I love that. And I think it's being able to quantify and having the results versus with coaching. Even when I was a therapist, maybe 5% you would see a shift, and it was over a year long of just coming to therapy every week, and every situation's different. And right. But regardless, I think it's you don't know what happens once they leave your office forever to move on to another therapist, another coach. But being able to be a part of that process, you get to see where all the puzzle pieces fit. And that's, it's definitely hard and not easy by any means, but you're able to be a part of that process and see that final result. And it's just, and everybody's life shifts. And I think that's a beautiful thing to highlight, is no matter what industry you're in, you can shift. I mean, I was coaching years ago, now I'm in solar. It's just our lives shift so much, and it's okay. But you're a beautiful example of it's okay to do something and then want to shift gears. You still have a love for it and a passion for it, but you're able to move on and do other things and add to your industry in a different way. And then you can always go back. There's no like, this is final.
Exactly. You can always go back to mentoring people. That's not going anywhere.
And just even with like all the shifts that happened, because last time we were talking about you're just so good at gathering people together. You were doing summits online. You were working with a business partner in Australia that you had met at a conference just from networking and putting yourself out there.
My business partner, she's in Australia. She doesn't live
Oh,
here.
wow.
In California, you guys live in the United States. She lives in Australia. We've met
Very
once. And it was at that very first conference that I went to because I connected with her afterwards. Again, go make that connection. But, you know, we started a business about 1.5 years ago. It's been amazing. And we've done it all virtually. And a lot of people are like very scared of this world, but building that community has been, again, such a different change for me. Coming out of it and just realizing I had so many people to lean on and to show other people that that is a possibility in these summits and these events is like it is such a, it's hard, it's priceless, like it's speech, I'm speechless with it, and if I'm speechless, it's such a beautiful thing, you know, like someone that's struggling and feeling like they're alone in that situation. And I know we've all been there. If you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you're thinking about it, you're like, well, I haven't gotten a single client and it's been 6 months. Been there. It's happened to me, you guys. It's not been pretty all the time, but having someone next to me saying, yeah, that happened to me 1 year ago and look at where I am now, kind of thing, not in a bad way, in a good way of being like, oh shit, okay, she can, sorry, I didn't freak out on it. Oh man, like, wow, she did it. It's possible. And like, that was huge. I needed that. I needed that around me.
What has shifted in like building community in the way that you are now?
I want to say that, yes, I'm not doing as much online and building those communities online. I was just at a conference for one of my clients, you know, a couple months ago in Vegas. I'm not a Vegas person, but, you know, I set up a dinner and we did a huge networking event for that. And I got to, you know, talk about my marketing and what we do for their company. And so it's just a shift in where it's at, and also more in person now. I still do a lot of things online, but most of my life is online. But, you know, there are these things that I'm still putting together, and I'm still, obviously, again, the podcast is something that I've thought about bringing back just because I do love, like I said, interviewing people. And like you said, I never made money from my podcast, but it was just something I really, really enjoyed. And I have been working with people to get myself on stage and be there soon. And that's, again, my goal. And we'll talk about that more, I guess, but still am very involved. I just don't set up my own events as much anymore. But again, who knows if I will. The shift in my consulting became very busy. And so, you know, throwing an event together is not easy and it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot to put together. And so I just haven't personally had the time for something like that, but I do consistently talk to people. And when it comes to my business partner, I met her, and I spoke about this in our last episode, you know, years ago at an event, and we are no longer doing business together, but we are best friends. We talk on a daily, and we actually meet like once or twice a month via Zoom and have like 5 to 6 hour calls every single time. Like, so although we don't do business together, and again, who knows what the future will hold with that, because we constantly talk about our ambitions. We're entrepreneurs, as you know. There's always a constant to want to do something new or different. We've talked about many things, venues, events, things like that together. So who knows where that will come, but she is one of my best friends. Like, I don't know what I would do without her. So even though it didn't end up business-wise yet in some sort of success, it did as a life, you know, partner and friend. So yeah.
And I think that's a testament to just how we evolve and shift and where our interests lie, and what we were interested in and focused on 2, 3, 4 years ago can shift, and that's okay. And that's part of evolution, and knowing nothing is ever the same. Like, change is the only constant in our lives, and even leaning into those facts of just wanting to expand and grow, and just the personal development that we experience when we're building a business. And I know you mentioned you want to do more speaking engagements, be on stage. I want to know, what are your future goals and aspirations?
Yeah, I mean, that has never changed. I think from the moment I started in this entrepreneurial journey, I became a success story for Boss Babe, and I spoke on stage with them in January 2020, right before everything shut down. I did my very first on stage event where I got to speak with Natalie Ellis, and from there, I just knew that that's like where I wanted to be. Then everything shut down and everything changed. And, I started my own stuff. But I've always loved the idea of just being able to, like, I don't want to call it a motivational speaker because that's not really where I see myself. It's more getting on stage to really help whoever needs it at that time. You know what I mean? And right now, I don't know exactly what that topic is or what that is. Maybe it's entrepreneurship, maybe it's not. I've shifted again what I've done in business. I was going into my doctorate program. I'm kind of like you. I was right there, got accepted, and then decided, is this really what I want to do with my life? And took $250 and started my first business, So it's one of those things that, like, there are so many shifts and so many things that happen in business, and especially as an entrepreneur, that I think everyone needs someone that it can be an advocate for their journey. And that is something that I just know I want to bring to a stage one day for sure. I love my consulting business. I think that this is definitely the route that I am going to continue in and keep growing in. It has been something that I didn't even realize how much I would love. Again, I didn't go to school for digital marketing. I didn't go to school for business. I did not, I went to school for exercise and bioscience. Like, I didn't go to school for this. This is not where I thought I would end up, but I definitely think that it's something I really enjoy. And it's through this journey and these people that have been around me and people like you that I've shared my journey with and realized where I want to be and got more focused and more able to see what I wanted to do with myself, and these conversations even make me go, oh, wow, yeah, like these are the things I really love. Like, I didn't know strategy and digital marketing was going to be where I'd enjoy things, or, you just never know. So, like, definitely my consulting business. And yes, being on stage, it's just, I love being around women entrepreneurs. Like, if I could just be surrounded by them at all times, I would. Like, I would surround me and around with them all the time and I'll be happy.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. I mean, I love it. It's just because you get inspired to take action, not just like being motivated to do something, but really being around such powerful, innovative women that are doing amazing things in this world, just like you are, and knowing that it doesn't matter where your background is, you can continue to evolve and reinvent yourself, reinvent your business, reinvent the career path you're going down, the type of business that you want to have. And I'm curious, because it's been 2 years, there's been a lot of changes and shifts in your life. What are a lesson or two that you've learned through these 2 years?
Oh gosh, I don't want to be cliche, but don't listen to the hustle culture. I was in that hustle culture for a while. I felt like I wasn't keeping up. And then we sit there and we talk about imposter syndrome and all these different things, but we are doing exactly that. We surround ourselves with it, but then we're not taking it in the way that we need to take it in and focusing it on the way that we should focus on it. I was definitely one of those people that, like, everything that came up, like, hustle, do this, you got to be online every 24/7, blah, blah, blah. I was like in this, like, and not that it wasn't a good thing here and there, but I wasn't listening to myself. And that's something that's really hard. I wasn't doing what's the best for me. I was doing what I thought was the best for a business or whatever other people were doing. And I'm going to say, follow your heart. I have shifted in life so many times, and I deal with a lot of young girls that I work with that come and intern for me or work for me on little budgets, just trying to learn. And a lot of them are always coming in feeling like they don't know what they want to do. And that is, it's something to say to people because I have shifted so many times in life and business. And some people will say, well, that's just because you can't be consistent or you can't figure it out. And I was like, in all of my journeys, I don't regret any of them. I love every single journey I've had. And yes, success has become more now. I am more successful as a business owner, but that doesn't mean I regret any of the decisions I made. And I'm glad that I followed my heart and I tried them. I met my best friend. I met some amazing people that I talk to all the time. I get to come back on podcasts 2 years later with amazing women. Like, that to me is, I don't care if that part of my business wasn't where I want it to be. It was so important in my journey, and I don't want anyone to ever feel like they're behind, they don't know what they're doing or whatever. Like, again, I was supposed to be a doctor. I'm here. So again, that's something that I just really share with people. Just follow your heart, follow how you feel. Like, I know it can be scary as hell, and I'm not saying do it afraid. Like, I hate that too, but like, really just follow your heart. Just follow what you feel is going to be right. And that journey will take you somewhere that's meant to be.
Love everything that you said, because, when you're talking about, like, you don't regret anything from the past, it's because it's led you to where you are. And if you didn't have those situations or experiences, you wouldn't be the successful woman you are today. You were successful in other businesses too, but the consistency, because it's interesting. A lot of people are like, well, you weren't consistent. And people are consistent in their business all the time, but it's not the right way. Like that's not reaching their audience, or what they're saying is not resonating, whatever it may be. Because I went through that. Like that's my superpower is consistency, but I've had to shift a lot of things because it wasn't working. I'm still consistent in like posting and all of that, but I think it looks different for everybody. And I think that's a beautiful thing that you attested to is it doesn't have to fit into a box, and it never will. And I mean, I'm a doctor, but do I practice anymore? No, not at all. But like
Exactly.
it doesn't define you, these titles and labels and this and that. It's really going back to what you originally said was follow your heart. And some people are like, well, you need to make money, you need to do this. Like, yes, all of those things are true.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. However, when you feel so aligned with something, more opportunities start to come your way because it is so aligned, and it might not come the way you think it is. I mean, I've had so many opportunities that I'm like, I didn't even see that coming. But
Yeah.
being open, and I think that's another point that I wanted to touch on is you were so open to adjusting and shifting and moving out of the hustle culture because I was in it too. Like I know we talked last time about burnout. Like we both have burnt out more than
Multiple
once.
times. Definitely multiple times. I'm like, I'm never gonna do
Yes.
it again, but who knows? Like now I own a business, like a real business. Like, oh, come back to me in 2 years and let's see if I say about burnout again. I'll be like, oh, my consulting business is driving me nuts. Who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? When I say successful, I obviously put up my little fingers as quotations because if you talked to me 2 years ago, I thought I was doing really well, but then I look back and I hate like every day. It was like my fitness journey. Like I was a competitor. I was someone that was in the best shape of her life. And every day I was so insecure with my body. You know what I mean? I was one of the most insecure people with my body. And it's the same thing when I had my first coaching business. I wasn't doing bad. I thought I was in a good rhythm, but then I also at the same time, to me, I just wasn't making enough and I wasn't doing enough and I wasn't, like there was always that. So it's like the insecurity with the body. It now shifted to my coaching. Was I doing enough coaching? Oh, these people are not making a ton of money. I'm not doing my job. So it's like this constant thing that you kind of have to try to like, whoa, like pull back on and say, first of all, yes, success is different to everyone. Again, I put up quotations on successful because yes, money wise, financially, my business is making more money than it ever did. But it still needs work, and I have to work on me before it's going to be anything. And so that's why I say successful. You couldn't see my quotations if you're listening to this, but I say that in a way of, we're always so hard and we're our hardest critics, as we always say, right? And so really just enjoying and aligning and following your heart to something that you really do just feel good about versus like what the success is over it. Because then, like you said, it will come. It will come. And it's taken me quite a few burnout to get there, but we're here. We're here. We're feeling good. We're feeling good. Like I said, talk to me in 2 years. We'll be back.
That's the journey of life, right?
Yeah.
There's always going to be curveballs thrown, and having to be innovative in any business that we do, any situation, even in personal life. But I think it goes back to why you even shifted in the first place because of personal reasons and looking at what makes sense for you and where you're going. And I think it's just knowing that you're never stuck. You're not in quicksand. You can take the step by step, and you might have to take a step backwards to take a couple steps forward and vice versa. But it's still moving the needle forward and knowing that no matter where you are in life, it doesn't matter because you have the opportunity to make a change. And it starts with us and within, because if we're not right, it's not going to help everything else around us either. But I love that you leaned into it. You're doing it. You follow your heart. You didn't listen to all the outside noise and just were really, truly your authentic self and leaned into it. Anyways, I've been so enjoying this conversation. I feel like we could talk for hours. Like I really, but we're not going to today, at least. But I would love to know, where can people find you, find your services? We're gonna link everything below, but if you could let us know too.
Yeah, so I'm still just online. My email is actually the best way. I do take contact forms, but I'll probably give you my email and the best way online to get to me because that's the easiest way right now. And any questions you guys have or any information you need, then I can send that over to you. But yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you again for just taking the time to come back after 2 years, chat, see what you've been up to. You've been up to amazing things. And I'm just so glad that you really listened to your intuition and trusted your gut of what those next steps were. And being able to see you thrive energetically as well is amazing. And I just appreciate you coming back.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Of course, make sure to like, subscribe, comment below. What was the biggest takeaway from Kamille today? I'm sure she would love to see that comment, and we'll see you on the next episode.